G'day guys, welcome back to another version of our podcast, and thank you for joining us again. I'm George, this is Brett as well. Hopefully you've been getting a lot out of it, and Brett, very keen to expand on training in an environment, what is key, and especially from an operational point of view, what do you think needs to be implemented and what is a requirement?
Yes, I mean, training, great topic. Failing to train is training to fail, as they say. Normally, the first thing that gets cut from your budget too. Oh, we'll just cut that out. What are you doing? Why are you spending so much on it? All that type of thing. Super important. I mean, particularly over the last 2 years, what we've witnessed, right, with the drain on the industry. So look, training is like probably one of your 3 pillars really that you got to get right if you're fair dinkum about your organisation. You need to be developing your highly skilled and flexible workforce, right? It's like a production line as they come in, ultimately getting them, whatever the end result is for your organisation. And you need to provide them with career opportunities and the appropriate knowledge and development within your organisation. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of what you're looking at or what we're doing, and I'm just going to try and illustrate this. If I move you around here, and I'll present my screen. I haven't done this before, but you tell me if this is going to work for you, and then I'll explain it.
And while you're doing that, Brett, and trying to get this ready, just for all our viewers, those of you that have joined us for the first time, please feel free to post questions. Whilst we may not get to them immediately, we will definitely respond to them after this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this is an opinion. This is our view on it, but I've seen it and it works, right? So this is just speaking from personal experience and what works, right? So training, there's 2 facets really, right? If we're fair dinkum about it, there's your base knowledge, general, compliance related training for any organisation, and then there's the role-specific competency-based training. So some people like to draw it as like, hey, a pyramid, everyone's getting to be the CEO if that's working. And there's different layers that's coming in, and you're ticking off as you climb up, right? That's good. Don't really like that one. I'm going to explain it to you today like this, right? Just think of it as a big conveyor belt, right? They're coming in, and what we need them to do, we need to have a process in place to get them from 0 to hero as quick as we can. Right, just think of it like that. What can we do to make this new starter, this new member, someone that's come from an existing data center, he's got the background, but you need to train him up to get into your way of thinking based on your operating principles, because everyone's slightly different. Getting him assimilated to your culture. He might not coming from, data centers. That's a massive thing, right? Where we're taking them from pretty much everywhere as long as they've got the right mindset and the right attitude. Oil and gas, defense, the marine environment, those type of, telco, all those type of things. First one is general induction training, right?
How important is that?
I mean, normally you get this done within the first week to a month, right? So, hey, any of your safety related legislative requirements, do they know that, right? Do they know your exit signs? Are they inducted on site? So we're going to give them all that knowledge. Second to that is the company values, the company mission, and the direction, right? So we need to show them that. And obviously, first 3 months is probably critical to any new starter. We'll get to that. Key company processes, where to find the information, data center operations manual, procedures, intranet. We're going to show them all that type of stuff in the first month. Org structure, company structure, any support type of items goes through our general induction training, right? So, hey, what's the lay of the land? We want to get that done out of the way. Normally, you kind of sit them down someone from your training and development team or your people and culture team or whoever your delegate is in the business. It might be the direct manager. They're kind of sitting down with them for the first week, 2 weeks, month to bring them up to speed as quick as you can, right? So I would call that general induction training. The next one we're looking at here as we go through normally gets done within the next 3 months. And the reason why I'm giving you time is it needs to be time bound. Okay. Otherwise they're just going to drift, right? Because you want to hold them accountable. Most importantly, you want to hold the manager who's training these people accountable as well, right? So role specific training. What knowledge do we need to give the individual specific to complete their job, right? Any safety related items. What do they need from the manager? Examples of this might be the data center tech role that you've got within your company. They're the fire safety wardens. They might be the first aid responders. They might be responsible for methods of procedure or anything like that for management of the contractors. So we're to give them all that role specific knowledge. Hey, what are your licensing requirements? Do they need to drive a forklift? Does he have a forklift ticket? If not, we're going to book it in. HV. Hey, there's different HV or high voltage requirements. Does he have that training? We've got to book that in, right? Role specific training. What do we need to do there? Okay, set time bound, right? Sorry, this is a pretty bad drawing, but you're getting the picture there on what I'm trying to do. Next, we're looking at any compliance related training. Okay, so is there anything in your legislative requirements or anything like that, your state-based, your national policies or anything like that we need to give them to do their day-to-day job, right? So you can't operate, do electrical work without an electrical license, right? So what do we need to do to get him there? If that's part of his job and he doesn't have an electrical license, are we giving him his reconnect disconnect? Are we looking at sending him on a Cert 3 or a Cert 4 type training? And the final one, see if I can change color, that might be better, is development training, right? So how are we going to advance them through, right? So first one, I probably should have said that's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. This one here, we're looking at that like within 12 months. So we've either got them enrolled on, data center dynamics, uptime type courses. There might be other specific trade related courses or other specific data center courses that we've got them enrolled in. And you're going to know within that 3 to 6 month mark if you're going to invest further in the individual and what you're going to send him on. All right. So what do we need to do? Tailored to the individual for his career. How are they going to contribute? Have we identified them for another role within the business? Hey, we might have hired them come through the operations team at a lower level, but we found out that the guy's a mechanical engineer and he's studying AI at bloody Harvard or he's a Harvard business graduate. Yep. Hey man, maybe you should come and have a look at this role, right? Or whoever that is, right? Underneath that was what I would class as all your, your general training base knowledge, right? Underneath that, the second facet, and probably the most important one from an ops perspective, I'd probably split this into two, is, hey, we also need to tell them core knowledge of your staff training. So operations, right? Do you know your hierarchy of controls? Do you know your safety protocols? Are you across how the UPS works? Are you across the cooling requirements? Is it chiller? Is it free air? Is it air-cooled chillers? Is it water-cooled? Do we have cooling towers? Have we got fan walls? What type of BMS systems do we use? Are we static or rotary UPS? So you've got to give them all that knowledge because they're coming into your operations team, right? Now, that can be on the job. It can be formal, hey, slide deck, sign this off as you go through. A combination of both, I would recommend. On the job's great, but it's only as good as the person teaching, right? If your processes and procedures are robust enough that anybody can read them, they'll pick it up. I know back in the past, when you're doing maintenance scheduling or, you're planning your work out, I would always double up kind of a senior with 2 juniors, particularly if they started, you'd have your job card and like, hey, this job normally takes you 4 hours. But if you're coming back to me and handing it at the 6-hour mark, you haven't done your job properly. Right? I want you to take the extra time and spend with the two new starters and actually go through and explain each step, providing that guy's got the right mindset, right? Or that individual's got the right mindset. And all the other facilities-based, operational-based knowledge, we want to give them all that, right? We were aiming to get that done 3 to 6 months, right? So there's a fair bit going on there, both bang, here's your core knowledge for your business, industry-wide, all your time at statutory requirements, plus they're coming in as like, oh man, I've never been in a data center before. I've come from one that had a raised floor. Now we've got a solid floor, and the configurations are different. But it's like information overload. But you need to have it structured, like I said, to get them 0 to hero. The next one, and probably the most important one, is hey, we've given him the knowledge. Can he actually use it? Right? Does he actually know what to do? Right? Competency-based training. I love it. Love competency-based training. Hey, so we've told you all about the chillers, the diesels, the UPS, the cooling. Can you operate it, right? There's no point sitting there and giving someone all this information. Yeah, I'm good. Tick, tick, tick it off. They have to be observed, executing those. Like, come down. Let's walk me through the static UPS. Walk me through the standby generator. Where's the turbo? What's this look like? How do you start it? How do you stop it? Where's the EOPs? Where's the SOPs? All the components of the data center. So we want to have that done, in that 9-month mark. So as they're working, as they're going through on the job, and they're they're starting to come on shift, manager should be signing off to say, I deem you competent. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, something goes wrong, bang, he can go down there, or they can go down there, and and start that diesel or respond to what we need, right? And then we try and tie it all up in some type of knowledge base. Some people like exams. I don't really like exams, but you need to have something to say that we've signed them off. You're giving them a certificate, within that 12-month mark. Information overload, it's kind of come through, and we're doing that, going through. Once they've finished this here, right, he's done all that, or they've done all that, we've got them, they're fully signed off, that's fantastic. How are you keeping them current, right? So you must take training days once a month, once a quarter. Take a half a day once a quarter, or a full day once a quarter, whatever your business decrees is allowable. I would definitely recommend no less than half a day per quarter. Get round them again. Hey, it's been 9 months since you've done your diesel competency, started and stopped it. Let's go down. Let's go over it again. I just want to see you. I just want to see you execute on that. I just want to see you swing the chiller. Hey, let's go for a walk. Hey, we've just upgraded the UPS. That part of the building has got a different type. Let's go over that. Training days, practice your drills, right? Go over that knowledge and really reiterate all that type of stuff, and keep them current. So you've spent all this time in the first, say, 6 months getting them there. Don't lose it. Don't drop it, right? Yes, now hopefully they've had a lot of on-the-job training. They're current, they're on shift, they're doing it all. Doesn't matter. Still do it right. Have they picked up bad habits? Right? Are they following the process? Hey, has the process changed? Has that been communicated? And do they know where it is? Right. So all these type of things come into play. Formally documented. Everybody should know what's going on, the process, the procedure going through as they come through. So very, very, very well and good what I'm presenting to you on the screen. Where it does fall over is if the manager or the person in charge to implement this isn't fully across it themselves, or it's only as good as the person implementing it, right? So, if the ops manager, you can't be an ops manager from behind a desk, doesn't work. If they're not getting around their team or, training their people, it's going to fall over. The best operations managers that you will find, and you can pick it up the moment you walk into the facility, are the guys that got a heart of a teacher. Right? What I mean by that, they're going to take that extra half an hour, that extra hour. Oh, you're new or you haven't done that. Let me spend a little bit of time with you. will come through, and you know, kind of go over that, right, and go over that type of stuff that I've just kind of run over, and really spend time with your team, right? Not only that, you know, good organisations have people that help those operational managers out, right? There's a whole, you know, competency-based training framework or a training framework. There might be a learning development team. If you don't have one of those, you know, maybe it is the operations team. There's someone in there, you know, with their, for Australia, their Cert for training and assessing that's going through and helping kind of devise that. So that's what I've seen work well. Military, that's what I've seen work well within the data center environment. There's other ways of doing it. That's kind of my interpretation on what I would advise the people, and kind of as we go through.
Oh, look,
hopefully that wasn't information overload for you.
Look, it was a little bit, but you raised some really valid points, and the point that I think resonates the most is the one about the leader wanting to be effectively a teacher as well. So. You know, a lot of people focus purely on the managing side and forget the leadership and coaching environment, which is effectively what you've alluded to. I've got a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
What do you recommend from a tools perspective or a compliance perspective as to how you track the effectiveness of your training? Have you come across anything? Have you developed anything? Any guidance you can provide to our audience?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a number of, you know, software type platforms. It really depends on what your organization is willing to invest in it. Excel seems to be the go-to. I've done a lot of it in Excel. You know, you're kind of ticking it off and kind of tracking it. You know, some companies have got, and the names kind of elude me, but I think, you know, Workday's a platform I've seen where they've got their training and it's automatically, you know, ticketing through. That seems to be a good one. But you really need something where it's automated. So when it comes through, right? So if we say, hey, you know, George started in January, 3 months down the track, you know, 1st of March, we want something that's going to flag, oh, he was supposed to get his general induction training done and, you know, some of his core knowledge training done. What's going on? Oh, he's been sick, he's been off shift or whatever. And you want to have the ability to run reports, because what you're going to identify is that key talent relatively quickly that are shooting through, right? They've knocked off 6 to 9 months worth of work in the first 3 months, starting on what about the people that are kind of lagging behind, or, you know, what's the reason? So if you can automate it the best you can, absolutely do that. How you do that, it's really up to the organization, or what resources do you have. I mean, you get it done in Excel, that's fine.
And look, that's a great point too. And one other item which we'll definitely have a separate podcast on is the measuring of your operational excellence, which can then be tied into your training program. So do you agree with that? Or?
Oh, 100%. I think we've, you know, in our operational excellence, you know, I think we spoke about that last week or the week before. Training, that's one of the things that we're going out and checking, right? Like I said, you know, failing to train is training to fail. It's got to be in your DNA. Now, whether you want to believe that or not, I will dispute that with anybody, right? You cannot hire someone and then go, there you go, there's your budget or there's your team, and not invest in them, because there's so many things can go wrong, right?
I look at, I can talk from a security portfolio where a lot of people hire, let's call it security guards, and effectively expect them to understand their environment, but that security guard may have never ever worked in a portfolio that is similar to yours, may not understand what compliance programs you got running, may not understand any contractual requirements you got running. So definitely in my portfolio, it's key. Training is absolutely one of the key foundations. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah,
look, what I've presented there, that would apply to a security portfolio, right? Yep. I'm just telling you the different functions of it, but it's going to apply because you still want that, you know, what are you doing in the first month? What are we doing in the first 3 months? Hey, what are those core competencies we want them to be signed off on? Can they use the radio network if you've got it? Can they use the the security platform or whatever that is? So
yeah, and that's the key message I'm trying to get across to our audience as well, is that this is not purely operational. This is a model that can work in any pillar, any vertical in an organisation. So, being a bit selfish here, what are your thoughts on an operational person understanding the security environment and whether or not, sorry, two-part question, and whether or not you need to be absolutely fully across and running the security environment?
Definitely need to be aware of it. I mean, you can't work in a mission critical environment without that kind of, mindset, going through your zones, badging in, badging out, where do you park your car, key control and all that. Do they need to, I think, so to keep going on that one. So basic training, definitely in that, probably in induction training or role specific training. Hey, these are environments you can access. These are the ones you can't. These are the higher level security requirements within the building, if that's pertinent to your organization. They need to be aware of it. Now, do you need to invest in them to get them all security licenses? Probably not. You would leave that to the security team. Now, should they be responsible or accountable for management? Probably not, right? They just need to be aware of it and understand it. I always resort back to, hey, there is a fire evacuation in the building. What is the operations team primary role, right? And it's going to be life safety, safety of equipment. Hey, what is the security manager's primary role, right? Security of the building or the facility or whatever asset you're looking at. So keep that. You start to blur those lines, can get a little bit tricky.
That's great. And again, thank you for the questions, guys, on the podcast. We'll definitely respond to them if we haven't already. Brett, that was very informative. Again, another avenue of thought that we're presenting, which is just change your mindset.
That's it. I mean, look, it's just I love to hear the inputs and what has worked in your organisation. The whole premise of this is just sharing knowledge and upskilling the community together, which is fine.
Great. Well, thanks, Brett, and thank you, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you at our next podcast. And again, keep those questions coming. We'll definitely respond to them online, and then don't hesitate.
Awesome. Thanks for your time. I might even shave next time. We'll see. I don't know yet.
It's a bit of an improvement, mate.
Yeah, thanks.
See you guys.
All right. Catch ya.